Welcome everyone to our call. I think we're calling it, as you title it here, Elevating the Member Experience. Our guest speaker, our guest host is going to be Farran Mackay from Virtuous Coach Development. And Farran, if you will tell us a little bit about yourself, what your background is. You've been kind of hopping on some of the calls recently. I've seen you on a few of different calls. So give us a little
Indeed.
background on yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you, Katie, for the opportunity to be able to speak to your affiliates today. But there is something I want to say first, and that's my heart goes out to anybody who's directly or indirectly affected by the fires. Sitting here in Europe and watching the devastation unfold has been heartbreaking for us. So we can't even imagine what it's like to be actually in the situation. So hopefully everybody can recover as best they can and as quickly as possible in the near future. Then maybe a bit about my background. I have 30 years experience as a sports instructor, 15 years experience in formal education where I was a teacher educator, and I did a lot of research into supporting teachers change their teaching practices. About 5 years ago, I decided to step over and put everything I've learned over all the previous decades fully into CrossFit. So I've been dedicated to the CrossFit coach development space for about 5 years now. And I think it's fair to say that I strongly believe in the CrossFit methodology. I believe that it is a solution for so many health and longevity issues. I also think that for us to be able to deliver the methodology to as many people as possible and for the decades to come, we need a sustainable ecosystem. And by that, I mean we need affiliates that are healthy businesses and coaches who can earn a living wage from this. And so this is the thing I've been fighting for quite a few years now, is this sustainable ecosystem. And that's basically the hill I've put my flag on top of, that I'm basically defending as such. So everything I do comes from that viewpoint, including this presentation again today, because I also believe there is so much we can all learn from each other, and that so many coaches and affiliate owners I talk to reinvent the wheel every time, when in fact we don't need to. And a lot of the knowledge is simply down the road as such. And if we brought our learnings all together, the only thing we can do is, elevate further and in turn make a more sustainable ecosystem. So when it comes to elevating the member experience, I'm going to quick introduction. Oh, I have to do this. There we go. Everyone has an origin story when it comes to CrossFit. Now, my origin story started over 10 years ago, and it consisted of me doing a burpee challenge to raise money for mental health. And we had to do burpees, 40 burpees each day for 40 days. And it was at a time when accountability often happened in Facebook groups. So we had to video ourselves and put it in the Facebook group, and everyone, high-fived each other and things like that. But I remember on the first day, there was this woman, looked like me, my age, and she wasn't just doing burpees, she was doing burpee pull-ups. And now I had never seen anything like that in my life before. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did this come to be? And obviously over time, it became apparent, CrossFit. I was like, okay, fine. That happened. That was put into the back of my head. And then January 2015, I got a message from a friend of mine, Jen, and she said, oh my God, I just tried this thing. I think you really like it. You've probably never heard of it before. It's called CrossFit. I was like, oh, I did hear of this. Okay. And she's like, oh, it's just around the corner for me. You should go. And so it was at a time when this box that I still train at today did introduction lessons. And so I signed up for an introduction lesson, and unfortunately Jen couldn't join me. So I ended up standing outside this warehouse on a January evening in the lashing rain, in the darkness, and there was no sign anywhere. I was like, this does not look like a sports school that I know or a gym that I know. What is going on here? I should point out I live in the Netherlands, and in the Netherlands, if there's a lot of bikes, push bikes around the place, there's usually a lot of people, but there was a lot of bikes outside this warehouse. I was like, okay, maybe this is the right place. So I walked over to the door, I opened the door, and I was hit by this wall of sound, of like bass going, of smell of people working out, and sight, these half naked people doing things I had never seen in my life before. And I remember standing there and someone turned to me going, hi, and just nice and welcome. I was like, oh, okay. And I could go into the details about what exactly happened in that first lesson, but if I explained to you that the workout of the day was Fran, And I remember sitting on the steps looking at the class before me going, oh, that looks fine. That looks easy. Look, it's just, please note, I'd never touched a barbell in my life, so I had no idea. I'd never seen a thruster before. And the idea of doing, and I was like, pull-ups with bands, I'm sure that'll be okay. And obviously what happened during the workout itself, I mean, Frauke, my coach, did a great job in managing my expectations, but still, I questioned my life choices during the workout. And afterwards, I remember lying on the floor going, oh, I need to do that again. Yeah. And so then I come back for another class. And something happened in that class. I had an experience in that class. And I came back again. And I kept coming back because of the experiences I had in the class. So essentially, everybody's origin story has two things, two parts of it. There's certainly something more painful in my life than the fear of opening that door and walking into that warehouse that was going on. And the second thing was there was an experience that happened for me that was what I wanted, what I needed, and kept me coming back for more. So what we're going to dig in today is the second part, the member experience side of things. And this is where I'm going to get you to do some work. I want you to think about, from the member's point of view, what would make a good lesson for a member if they went home and, yeah, that was quite a good lesson. What had to happen for them? Yeah. Careful not to write it from the coach's point of view, teaching, seeing, correcting. That's not what we're busy with. We want to look at what the member's view is. I want you to try and put your feet in your feet in the shoes of, Mary, your 24-year-old collegiate rower, Tom, your 82-year-old granddad, you have Anya, I'm picking an Irish name here, Anya, your 4-year-old jet setter type thing. Try and put your mind into thinking, what would it be for all these different types of members that you have? So I'm going to give you, we're not going to split up yet, Katie. I'm just going to give you 2 minutes just to write down some things for yourself. But at the end of the day, it's not just a good lesson we want to deliver. We want to deliver an exceptional lesson. Yeah. So what would need to happen for somebody to walk home and go, oh, all those boxes were ticked? Or if you did a drop in by a box, you were inspired by what happened in that lesson. Yeah. So I'll give you another minute or so to think about it. And then I'm going to ask Katie to split you up into groups. And in those groups, you're going to share your ideas with each other. And then after about 4.5 minutes, you're going to come back and share it with the group.
I just put it in the chat in case when we break out, there's someone that just got here late.
Perfect.
If we put it in the chat after they're in the groups, it won't show.
It's gone. Yes. So if I ask when you go into the groups, just pick one person who's going to be your spokesperson and try and share as many ideas as you can as such, and that the person coming back as a spokesperson will try and share as much as possible with the rest of us.
Okay, I think we've got everyone back here.
Okay, welcome back, guys. What I'm going to ask is which group or which speaker would like to share first what they discussed. I think I see Andy physically has his hand up. Go on, Andy.
All right, I put it in the chat as well, but my group came up with learn something new. They felt accepted and welcomed, got sweaty, challenged but not over the top. Having a coach adds value. Fist bumps for doing it.
I love it. Nice. Would anybody else like to follow Andy?
Andy was group 1, so we have 2, 3, or 4. Who's up? I guess they don't know what number they are necessarily.
It showed up when you went in.
Oh, okay.
I guess I can speak for group 2. I don't know where the rest of them went. We said like being greeted, right? Having learning something new, or like having some kind of win. Like it may not be something new, it just may be like that aha or moment where something clicks. Doesn't have to be major. And then we also said like the vibe, like so having a really welcoming community, good music, although I feel like good music is relative. And so, and then we also said at the end, like, the coach knowing the member. So it's one thing to like say hi to them, but it's another to say, hey, I know you're working on your strict strengths, so let's scale X, Y, and Z this way today. So individualizing that group experience elevates, which goes back to coaching, the quality of coaching.
Thank you very much. Who would like to be next?
I'll go next. I don't know what group number we were, but
You guys are 4.
kind of the same thing everybody else has kind of touched on is making sure people are seen, knowing their name, making sure they feel valued, that we're glad they're there. One of the things that is big for me is making sure that every member or visitor knows that everybody can do a version of what the workout is. Make sure everybody knows, hey, don't be intimidated. That intimidation factor can be so big, especially that first time walking in. So just making sure everyone knows that the coach is there to help them be successful and do a version of functional fitness that's going to be helpful for them wherever they are.
I like that, Becca. And group 4. Last but not least, group 3.
Everton, Mirth, Ruth, or Vanessa. If any of them don't mind coming off mute.
Hi there. I think we could touch on similar stuff. We added in some time management, make sure that the class is flowing on time. Also to make connections with other people in the class that are maybe similar, like if you know other people's backgrounds, where they work, things like that, try to connect them with other people so they feel like they belong and they already have a built-in network of friends, like if they're brand new. They talked about accomplishing a skill or a task, something they didn't think was possible before. Making sure, you really highlight that and let them see what they accomplished in that time. And to have a lot of fun. But everything else I think is pretty much the same.
Yeah, I like it, guys. Just to explain, I've actually done this exercise not just with tens of CrossFit affiliates, but also with other types of sports, such as hockey. So with hockey trainers and ice skating trainers. And what is interesting is generally the same themes come up for everybody. And in that sense, humans have the same need across the board. And one of the first things I always list is safety and time, because at the end of the day, they want to be able to continue on with their lives. That's the safety part. And we forget how important that is sometimes as affiliate owners and coaches, is that there is a life going on outside, and whatever happens in the box cannot negatively impact that. The second thing is, and I think that was group 3 mentioned it, is time. Often somebody has negotiated with other members in their family that this is their hour. This is the hour for them to be them. And if we're running 5, 10, 15 minutes late, maybe we're eating into their time, or they're reading their story to their kid at night, or they're preparing dinner, or they're having the call with their boss, or whatever it might be. So we have to be able to respect their time. I think all the groups mentioned, people want to be seen, and not just be seen by the coach, but also be seen by other members in the group if need be. And being seen is different for everybody. For somebody, it might mean, they get a hug and they're asked about their daily lives, and other people might just be a smile and some eye contact, and that's good enough for them. Then we have, they're there to move. Yeah, they have maybe they have a sedentary job and they've sat all day and things like that, and this is their 1 hour to move. And so they don't want to spend 15 minutes listening to a whiteboard brief. They want to start moving as quickly as possible. I think you all mentioned improve one way or another, whether it's small accomplishments, wins, whatever. They always want to make progress, whether that is physical achievement progress or social progress or anything, even something like, learning how to breathe in the middle of a workout, something that they feel like, oh, I've put a step forward. And they want to go back feeling satisfied. So whatever their goals were for the day have been achieved. And finally, the atmosphere. I think you mentioned, one group mentioned the music. And yes, of course, music is always subjective, but there has to be a welcoming atmosphere in the box. People have to feel like they belong and it's safe there, both from a physical perspective and also a mental perspective. And what is difficult from a coach's perspective is that everybody has these needs in different priorities. And what makes it even more complicated is that these actually change per person, per day. So it could be that I am there just to move that day. I really don't care about improving or being seen. I just literally want to move. Or there could be days like, no, I really want to improve. I want that feedback from my coach and I want to take those steps forward. And so that's our job as coaches, is to try and negotiate what can we do to try and hit all these points for as many people in our classes as possible. See, sounds easy, doesn't it? So what we're going to look at now is, okay, what are the things we can do as coaches to do that? And we're going to look specifically at coaching practices. And by coaching practice, I'm talking about the things we can see on the outside, something that's observable. So what is it that the coach does or says, how they do it? We're not talking about, oh, they think about the lesson planning, because we can't see inside a coach's head. A member does not see inside a coach's head, and a member only experiences what they see on the outside. So we're only going to limit it to what we can see on the outside of a coach or a trainer. What I want you to do now, you're going to put you back into your groups, and I'm going to get you to think about your exceptional lesson. And I want you to pick one or two of the themes. So safety and time, be seen, move, improve, satisfied, atmosphere. And I want you now, I'm going to give you now 6 minutes to have a good talk about what that might look like from a coach's perspective. What could coaches do to try and hit as many of these points as possible? Is that clear for everybody? Okay. Everybody ready to go off in their rooms again?
Everyone's back.
Great. Okay, guys, welcome back. I'm really intrigued to hear about what you've come up with for your coaching practices that would deliver an exceptional lesson. What group would like to go first?
Always happy to volunteer.
Oh, thanks, Andy.
Someone's got to go first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we picked two of them. The first one we did, we'll just go over this, is atmosphere. So Chelsea says that her coaches say the names 3 times, which is a great practice. In the warm-up, in addition to saying the names, they have everybody say, hey, what I'm grateful for. So good, grateful practice. That's always an awesome thing to do. And then the coaches connect during the warm-up, carry on conversations or ask follow-up from things that have happened before. So, and then another big one is, as they come in, there's a hi, and as they leave, there's a bye. So they know that this place is for them and wanting them to be there.
I love those, Andys, because they're also things that you can easily observe that they're happening as such. Thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to add, Andy, or that's...
It's really cold.
Where are you?
Oddly enough, I'm in Woodstock, Georgia, but it's all relative. So
okay.
It doesn't get that cold here normally. And it's even the antifreeze is freezing.
Okay, that's a bit chilly then. So what group would like to follow the freezing antifreeze?
I'll go. I'm group 2.
Thanks, Christina.
We said that body language was really important. So not being like on your phone or things like that when people are starting to come into class. Being prepared, meaning like having a really good lesson plan, but not being too rigid with the plan so that you can't deviate for the needs of the class or the attendees of the class. Being flexible and making sure that you're really good with your communication, especially at the whiteboard.
I'm going to delve a bit deeper, because having a lesson plan, it could be observable if you ask them to physically show you a lesson plan. But how would you notice, or how could you observe that a coach actually has made a lesson plan?
I think that it's pretty obvious when someone has taken time to be prepared. So whether they have something written down that they're using as a guide, perhaps, or if they're just clearly following what they've kind of outlined in terms of timing. So, you know, a normal general warm-up timing, a normal specific warm-up timing, not feeling rushed. You could tell when someone's feeling like they're trying to get stuff done quickly. Smooth transitions are important, like meaning going from the warm-up to the workout. What does that look like? Having an idea of not just getting out equipment that's just for the sake of getting out equipment that you're not necessarily going to use very much. So all of those things kind of thought out or planned out. Logistics, it's obvious if someone has thought about the logistics of the class and things like that.
So you can see that by that one topic, having a lesson plan, you've now named maybe 20 different coaching practices that for us as experienced coaches and affiliate owners, it's obvious for us. Yeah, we can see it straight away. And that's what I'm going to try and get you to delve a bit deeper when in your thinking is, okay, how could I explain this? How can I make sure this can be written down in paper so I can share this with a new trainer, that this is the expectation as such. But don't worry, Christina. I think in every one of these calls, we always have a having the lesson plan conversation, because it is something that for anybody who's been doing this a number of years, it's obvious and we can always see straight away. But having to explain that to somebody else, that's where we have to find the right words and the right way we want to explain things. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Christina?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Who would like to join next?
I think I can talk for my group. I don't know
Thank
the
you, Mirza.
number. And hi, Farran. Hi. Been a while. So I think it's really similar. So it's not new things that I've heard, but we also spoke about safety. In like I have a small box, so I really have to be prepared for the layout. And I heard someone else as well. So I not only have a specific class plan, but also like where are people going to put their stuff, and that is non-negotiable. So otherwise there will be accidents. So we have to really think about that. And one of the group members also said like they have the rule that the coach should at least say the name of each member 2 times, but not general. So it's really specific during the workout with a cue or a compliment.
Nice. Thank you, Mirta.
We had a few people that also chimed in the chat. Starts and finishes on time, doesn't have to time cap everyone, knows their athletes, being prepared for any limitations, check for injuries.
Yeah, and I think the ability to scale, I think that can be very well measured by nobody time caps in the workout. Everybody hits the intended stimulus, that type of thing. But we have one group still as well to come back.
Yes. So some of those were chiming in from that group. I don't know if that, but some of them weren't.
Okay, I'll add to it. I was forced into the situation.
Thank you, Stephanie, for doing this. So.
Okay, so we kind of hit a little bit on being prepared as well. So as far as the lesson plan and making sure that you're managing your time, being aware of, like with certain programming, they'll name different the same exercise, different names, and so you have to be prepared. And that's simple in nature, and that is something that they will see on the floor too. Is if you walk in and you're like, oh, this is something different today, and they see that. Simple professionalism, wear your coach's shirt, not your flip-flops, be prepared, look professional, not like somebody who's getting ready to work out or who just worked out. And then the coaches supporting and uplifting the programming, making sure that, whether it be that they're in class or, talking highly of the programming instead of being off and doing their own thing, that they're supporting kind of the whole nature.
So in that sense, they're demonstrating that they believe in the program.
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Stephanie.
No, it was perfect.
Any other things?
That was it.
Is there anybody else who would like to add something in? So basically what we've just done there is we've had a quick look at the member experience. Yeah. And you can go deeper, of course. And from the member experience, we then looked at some coaching practices, and you all listed different coaching practices. And for some affiliates, some coaching practices may be more appropriate than other coaching practices. And for some affiliates, maybe the member experience looks different to another affiliate as such. But if you have your member experience defined, and if you have your coaching practices defined, then it is really easy to figure out what your coach development should be. Because if you observe your classes and you're not seeing the coaching practices happen, then you know you have to do something to help make sure the coaching practices happen. It can also help you with onboarding new coaches. If you have your member experience, and you have priorities to your member experience, that then leads to priorities in your coaching practices. So you can help your new intern go, do you know what? I only need you to focus on this thing to start with, your highest priority. And just like what we do with progressions or with cues, where you can layer it up with the high priority ones first. And you also know that, well, if they've hit all the high priority ones, then do you know what? They can take the class by themselves. I have faith in them that they can lead the class. By having additional priorities, it means that a trainer and a coach knows, oh, I still have further to develop. And so it sets in a growth mindset in them. So the idea is, if you create one lens between your member experiences, your defined coaching practices, and your coach development, then everything in the end makes sense. And you will end up delivering an exceptional member experience. And an exceptional member experience is worth more than getting more leads in an affiliate. Because as an affiliate, if you are leaking your members, it doesn't matter how many tens or hundreds of leads you get. If you keep leaking your members because of a bad experience, then you're just, what do they call it? You're just you're just treading water. You're going nowhere and maybe even sinking slightly. But if you make sure you have an exceptional member experience, your members will stay longer, and even better, they become ambassadors for your affiliate, because not only are they going to bore people about CrossFit, but they're going to bore people about how amazing your affiliate is and how they should come along with them to your affiliate as such. So what can you do next is put your members central in everything you do. Yeah. Never forget that coach development is about delivering an exceptional member experience. Never forget that everything, all the coaching practices that you look for is about the member and not the coach. So next steps. I highly recommend that you do this with your team. Yeah. You can, I know Katie will be sending out the recording. You can actually play this recording with them and get them to do the exercise with you, because then you have a member experience for your affiliate. And not only that, by doing that with your team, they also feel like they've ownership for this member experience. You can actually do this with your members as well. Yeah. Most members are really engaged in their box as such, and they want to make sure it thrives, and they're happy to share what their experiences are and what their wants are. So do take the time and reach out and do this, the first part of the exercise, what makes a good lesson, what makes an exceptional lesson with your members. And don't forget to reach out for help. Maybe doesn't have to be me, but go talk to the affiliate down the road, go talk to Katie or some of the other the CrossFit regional managers and things like that. Reach out, share notes, go, do you know what? I think our members need this thing. At the moment, we're having challenges with these type of coaching practices. We're not sure how to bridge the gap. Yeah. The knowledge is out there, guys. Go out and do it. Okay. So then what I'm going to leave you with is, don't forget that what gets measured gets done. Yeah. What gets measured and fed back gets done well. And last but not least, what gets rewarded gets repeated. So if your coaches know what they should be doing, and you measure it, and you feed back on those things, and you reward when it goes well, it's just going to keep repeating, and your coaches are going to keep growing. I'm going to show you now 3 QR codes, so don't panic. I'll put also the links in the notes for Katie as such. What I am doing is, this used to be part of when I worked with affiliates one-on-one, that I would go through, how do we observe and measure coaches? How do we give feedback? How do we reward them and things like that? So I've now trialed it and beta tested it. It's called Raising the Bar, and this is launching the 1st of February. If you scan the QR code, then you just come onto an information list, and I'll send you the details of the pre-launch discount, which will be running at 40% as such. Probably of more interest even for all of you is, I have a free ebook called onboarding coaches. And that's where I look at how can we efficiently, effectively onboard coaches to an affiliate. And at that sense, I look at 3 different aspects of onboarding coaches. The first is onboarding them to the CrossFit methodology, or specifically your coaching practices, your member experience. The second is onboarding to the affiliate itself. So all the processes, how do they request vacation days? How do they open and close the box? You know, all those things that we go, oh yeah, I forgot to cut that key for that new coach type thing. And the third thing, often forgotten about, is how do we onboard the new coaches to our members? How do we support them in building relationships with our members as fast as possible so they can be effective? So scan the QR code and you'll get the ebook in your inbox. And last but not least, always happy to have a chat. I am not a salesperson in that sense, and I genuinely want to help. And if I don't feel like I can give you advice or can help point you in the right direction, I can certainly point you to the direction of somebody else or other ideas to look at things, because I'm a specialist in one part of the CrossFit space, I'll say, but there's so much involved and there are so many people who are ready to help you out as such. So there we go. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Well, thank you so much, Farran. I really appreciate it.
I want to say one thing. Sorry, I was too sorry. I'm not a salesperson either, but I work with Farran. Yeah. So, and I really like her work and she helped me a lot. And still busy actually, so I'm not gonna stop. But take the coffee chat. It is a good one. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mirta.
Perfect.
I didn't pay her to say that, by the way.
No. We've got some other thank yous popping up in the chat. I appreciate you all coming on, and I know the small group thing isn't necessarily what you're used to, but I think it's really valuable. So appreciate that. And I'd love any feedback if anyone has it. I'll send a follow-up email to everyone that was signed up. Some people had to hop off early and they had mentioned that they're going to watch the recording. But if you have questions that come up later, I'll include, obviously she has her resources here, but I'll include Farran's email as well. And you guys can reach out. And if you would like more content like this, we can do more things in this vein where you get to kind of workshop in the moment and not just listen. So thank you all so much. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you, guys.